जानना चाह रहा हूँ हर एक को आवाज एक दूसरे की आ रही
Hey, 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 hey.
Yeah, I can hear Isma just fine.
सब तो so we're live
We're
live right now?
live.
Oh, yay.
we're live
Hi, everybody.
hi
Hello, world.
hi I'm Arafat. I am the director
Are we
of
starting right away? Are we
Acha,
like,
hi.
yeah, let people like join in. It's just,
Hi, I am Arafat and we're waiting for a bit.
let's put up like a picture meanwhile on our Instagram. Okay, we're live.
I'm going to take a picture of this and put it up.
Do it.
Imagine us doing this while the live is going on.
यार
I mean,
आपके
it
बाल
is-
बड़े
it is-
फिट लग
it
रहे
is-
हैं यार
Thanks a lot for moving.
Dang.
आपको नहीं मैं कह रहा इसमा को कह रहा हूँ
Cool. Acha. So bored and sad. Anyway,
No, I'm excited.
you're excited.
I'm very excited.
Cool.
Yeah.
I am very
How did
excited. This is my first panel with all of
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Seriously, I've been waiting
Isma
for
ended
this.
up, Isma's been in England for the past year. She left right when Tabassum was going into like full throttle gear. And then, or phir, she missed out on all the screenings and all the funsies and
Not the
goodness that
London
happened.
ones, though. I mean,
Yeah,
the Pakistan ones were far more
the Pakistan ones,
exciting.
yeah. So we're very excited. We almost forgot Isma this time as well.
Yeah,
but then,
thanks.
but then,
You posted me separately, so I'm not that mad.
gosh. But yeah, but we're really excited to have like the team together for
Yeah.
some like
Half of the
show.
team.
Yeah.
Is Fatma joining? Where's Fatma?
Fatma is not. Fatma's too cool for any of us, and she's like, I'm going home.
Mm.
So yeah. But anyway,
Mm.
is Arslan gonna be back, or is that? I feel like he's gone.
Yeah, I think he's
He's
gone.
gone.
I think
Alright.
we should start.
Wait,
I
wait,
mean,
how
it's
can
on
we?
mute. That's all.
Yeah, I
There
think
are
he's on mute.
There are 4 participants, Abhi.
I know, but he has his
Can we
mic.
have like the
And
chat?
that's
or
us.
something?
Okay.
So
So we're live and he's here
okay, he's here. How will we know? Okay, like questions.
on the chat.
Sure. Haseeb, if you see any questions like pop up on the laptop, just like read them out or let
Okay.
us know and then we can answer them. But
Okay.
He's saying I'll type them out here, chat space. So
just
I mean-
read them out as well because we're on through our phone, so it's
So
very
you can
difficult.
look at Facebook as well.
I don't want to do the double.
I'll read them out. I can see them. I mean,
Okay,
I'll
okay.
Oh,
Okay, so let's start with the introductions.
Yeah.
Yeah, go.
हाँ, मेरा नाम अरफात मजहर है. मैंने हिदायतकारी की थी शहर तबस्सुम की. I'm the director of Shehr E Tabassum and also wrote a bit of it, came up with the concept with some of the folks that we're going to talk to. With me is Rasi Farooq. I mean, I'm
introducing.
Oh, Rasi Farooq. She is the producer, voice actor, co-writer. She has her fingerprints all over the film. We have Isma Gul Hassan all the way from London, who was the art director, creative director, and environment design artist for the film. Pretty much responsible for the way the film looks. We have Sanabil and Haseeb. So Haseeb Rahman, who was our animation supervisor and lead animator, designed a lot of characters, and Jiske Baghair, the film would not have moved the way it moves. And we have Sanabil right next to him, who was one of our animators throughout the film as well. Worked really hard on some of the scenes, including the Shadi sequence, if you remember the film. So that's my really poor introduction of everyone. I'm recovering from a really bad sickness, so I'm gonna not talk a lot, and that's also my excuse for the bad introduction. I wasn't aware I was supposed to introduce everyone.
You also have to introduce the film now, and then you can be silent, and then you can just go it.
Okay. I don't know who I'm talking to. Are there people on the other end?
You should be able to see how many people are like.
by the
So,
way,
I
how
mean-
can you tell?
What if we have no audience?
So can I
And then-
Speaking
go to
into the
Facebook?
void, I can't like wait.
Hold on,
Go to
hold on.
Facebook.
Okay, I'm going to Facebook. Gosh, Facebook. I can't believe we're here pausing our
No,
thing just to
we're
see
not.
if
Yeah, I mean, just
people are listening to us.
no. I can see someone live. Yeah,
Oh,
there you are.
It went.
Yes,
somewhere.
there are
Yeah,
people.
Here you are.
We have
Okay.
Yeah, we've got-
exactly. We have a bunch of people.
We have a bunch of
We have a
people.
bunch of people.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, Shehr E Tabassum, some of you might know,
Yeah.
is a short dystopian Cyber Khilafat film that we released in February, and then for the general public in March. It is set in 2071 in a world where there's a fascist government and you are not allowed any other expression other than smiling. That's the premise of the film. It's available on YouTube. You can watch it for free. And yeah, that is the premise of the film. If there are questions in there from people, I can answer them.
So a lot of you were interested in how the story was fleshed out. So I mean, a lot of people knew that it was like a Dear Sal in the making, right? But they wanted to know, okay, and obviously when we went to screenings, we did tell people that it was like the story progressed over time and it changed, and there were quite a few, went through quite a few iterations. So somebody asked us, when were the major story beats decided for the Tabassum?
Right.
And when were they locked in and kind of then like the final version of Uska Kis Point Pe Hua Tha? Or were you guys just changing things?
I mean, so I would say stage one, when the premise was very clear, usi then the very zoomed out structure was there. With my ex-wife Aisha Iftikhar, we sort of figured out like the journey a little bit, the arc, so as to speak, and how is it that we can explore the anxieties of the city. So some of the beats were locked in there, some of the beats, but really it's when we started fleshing out the world, everybody, Rasti, Zara, Isma, Shumaya, Hasib included, even enacting some of the uh, character choices for animation helped us figure out the crucial beats a little bit. So I think it took well into production is when the beats were final. And by beats, I mean any point where the character makes a choice. In this case, it's almost like every other scene, because there are not a lot of scenes in this film. So yeah.
Did you know that the final scene would be the choice that she makes at the end? Like at what point did you decide that?
I think what point did we decide? Do you know that answer to that?
I don't know. Like
I think that's
I know that answer.
You do know that
We
answer?
decided we decided pretty early on, but I think there were 2 or 3 options about the final scene. Like we were like, oh, she'll break the glass, or she'll yeah. So the decision to like pull her gear and like look angry, like that didn't come in until much later, until the team was much bigger, because we knew that like the final scene would be super dramatic, but we hadn't decided exactly hoga kya. But I think we had a few super dramatic options. I think like sabse pehle when we were storyboarding, there were so many beats, there were so many things that we wanted to include, which we didn't end up including later. Like it became more and more complicated. We were like, ye bhi hoga, ye bhi hoga. And we made this like super elaborate storyboard, and half of those things didn't even make it to the film. But I think once we narrowed down the character design and the gear design, that is when we were like, oh, so she has this thing on her head. So what can she do that looks super like
yeah.
but like against the system? what could be something that is like okay against the status quo? And
Shumail wants to join the.
Yeah. We let Ursula know.
Okay.
So
Are there more
Shumail,
people
who
So that Isma's answering questions
so I
much
also
better.
since we're talking about like like we locked in the gear design and stuff. So a lot of people had questions about production, and I remember like people might not necessarily know this, but there was a stage 1 and a stage 2 of the Tabassum. So I want Isma, if you could just talk about like how they were different, and then also like just from there, I know that you were like you single-handedly were responsible for some of the most important decisions, right? Whether that had to do with like character design, a bunch of other stuff actually. So just talk about those. And Shumail is here with us. Hi, Shumail.
Hi. Hello.
Shumail, are you lost? What are you doing in this live?
I hear you.
Why are you here? No, Shumail is our
Audio. You need to turn on.
Sorry, audio nahi chal rahi, Shumail.
Turn the audio on.
Yeah, you gotta turn your audio on.
Yeah. Nope. While you're at it, it's when you can answer the question.
You can talk about stage 1, stage 2, and then all the different
decisions
and choices that you
and I'll go ahead. So what was the question?
Logged in kaise hua wo gear design production?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the gear design and the character design, like I think pretty early on, I think Arfat, me, and Zara sat down and like really discussed how we want the film to, what we want the film to look like, and we were like,
Mm.
okay, in this world, um, there's like a lot of surveillance. People have no privacy, and we want the characters to look like they're in shackles, like literally and figuratively, and we want them to look like wherever they go, like at no point is their face going to be like it's going to be visible at all points, like even if they're walking and there's like some authority figure like the police or whatever, they can like see them from a distance or stuff like that. And we were thinking about all these like different possibilities, and we were like, acha, theek hai. So we want
Mm.
their faces to be lit all the time, and that is
Mm.
super uncomfortable. Like imagine being in that world and there's like this light on your face all the time, no matter where you go, and you're going to be seen from a distance from. Yeah. So that was like, I think the first thing that we locked in, that we talked about, and then we made like a few iterations. And these things, I think gear design jo tha, it kept evolving.
Mm.
Pehle it was like yahan bhi kuch hoga, yahan bhi hoga. It was like covering the whole face,
Yeah.
and it was pretty like complicated, and like dono side pe there'll be this light and all that stuff. But once that was decided, so we went on to the different stages of the film. And like starting out, honestly, like the animation and like the story was simpler. We changed the second half um like a few months into the film. And section B, so that was called section B. Section A is like the establishing shot when she's like opening the door, she goes in, she turns towards the market, the bot appears, blah blah. But section B is like when she really starts running, and that is when the animation got more complicated. The decisions that we had to make got more complicated. We had to like problem
Mm.
solve the entire process. All that happened, and then we started incorporating 3D into our
Mm.
process, and that is when Hasib comes in. He helped us out a lot. And
Jamal came in with his
yeah,
types.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like he saved section B with his typography, like typography everywhere. Covered the whole film with
Yeah. The
typography.
whole damn city. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think the major decisions that really, I think shaped the section B of the film, I would say, and like the whole film, I guess, I think were the highlights, because
Mm.
lighting was like super important in the film. Like
Mm.
we had the palette figured out anyway. And like when it comes to cyberpunk, I think the palette more or less like it was a no-brainer. We were like, acha, ye palette hona hai. And we were all happy with it. But when it came to the highlights, we were like, okay, like we want to emphasize the faces. We want the attention to be on the faces. How do we do that? And I remember
Mm.
I spent so many days trying to figure out what the light in the film is going to be like. And so, like, in the character design, like, there are a few stages, right? Like, there is the line drawings, then there's the flatting, then there's the shadows, and finally the highlights. That's like the last stage.
We
So, the
actually,
character.
sorry I'm interrupting, but we have a video of this. So at some point, Haseeb, if you could just plug that in, screen share it
Oh,
through,
we
that would be
do.
great. But yeah, continue, Isma.
Yeah. So, hey, the characters came to me after like the line drawing, the flattening, the shadows, and I remember like I was struggling with this so much because I was hand painting. I mean, not hand, like digitally painting each frame, like on the character. And when we would play them, they were super jittery. And I messed up the layers this one day and opened each layers only thing. And then I was like, wait a second, this actually looks okay. And I called Arafat and I called Zia. I was like this mistake, I think let's just stay with this. It's not a mistake anymore. Like this is what I want the highlights to be. And I was like
Ah,
super
that's
happy with
incredible.
it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
आपको
that's
वीडियो नजर आ रही है आपको?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's the line drawing part that
yeah,
Isma was talking about, and then
that's the
that's
flat
the
line.
flat part.
Yeah.
But the part that she's mentioning is the last bit where, yeah, everything's turned.
Yeah, and the highlights had like a special process.
Hmm.
Like I mean, it wasn't like अच्छा पहले line drawing है, फिर flatting है, फिर shadows और फिर highlights बाद में आती हैं. The layers for the highlights had like for each different part of the body were like placed in a different way. Like one part had to be like below the shadows. The other had to be like on top of it. So it was like I had to do this whole tutorial for the interns as well because I was like, okay, the highlights part is like super complicated. But it ended up working out really well, and I was like super happy with it. We all
Really,
were.
really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the highlights part was really what differentiated the film look wise as well, because there's a texture and there's a scary bathing of everyone in an artificial light that emphasizing the capitalistic nature of the city as well. Okay, there's something very artificial about neon light. So if you see on screen right now, you have everyone looking very human and very distinctive, but the moment you bring in the final look of the film, you lose color of your skin, you lose your identity. So in a way, what Isma ended up doing was use the light to tell the story better as well, to elevate the story better as well. So you don't just conform in one way, you also start looking the same as well. So as you can see now, everyone looks more similar, and your identity is sort of muted in these neon artificial colors.
Yeah, and at some point, like people got mad at me whenever they would like color the character in and send it to me, and I would like just desaturate the whole thing and add the highlights. They were like, "What was the point of like adding the colors then?" Because the blue, the greenish blue, like for the highlights, just takes away all the color, as Irfan explained, like and adds to the dystopian aspect of this film. But yeah, that's
I actually
the
have like your old sheet, Isma, when Isma left, she left like a bunch of her artwork just taped to our boards. And so I was going over those. I have this.
So I mean,
wait. I
screen
can
share off.
You'll have to turn the screen share off, Mr. Hasib.
All right.
All right. So cute.
Yeah.
So we have this.
This is acha. This is the sheet Hasib made, no?
Oh, this is Hasib's.
Yeah, but like the cat.
Hasib made this final.
And then
thing
I also have this lady who shows up in
the ad.
the bazaar scene.
Yeah, I made that. Yeah.
Do we have a name for her?
No, we don't. We don't have names for people in this world. That is a lie.
Tell everybody about the hair. You know how we were like, acha, they can't really experiment a lot with their facial hair or their kapde. So we went real hardcore with the head hair.
Yeah. That was the thing. We were like, all fashion is going to be concentrated here, and with super like crazy shoes and crazy hair, and yeah. So that was the lady in the ad.
Is Shumail's mic working now?
Shumail, is your mic working? No.
No, still
Earphones
figuring it out.
though. Try without the earphones.
Try it without the earphones.
Yeah.
अब आवाज आ रही है?
Yes,
perfect.
Okay, so
Oh my
what
God.
about
थोड़ा screen भी ऊपर कर दो.
हाँ please तुम्हारा आधा सर कट रहा है. तुम्हारी टोपी में क्या लिखा है by the way?
Oh.
Okay.
मेरे लैपटॉप का webcam weird जगह पर है, बिल्कुल bezel के नीचे है. उनके नीचे मेरा जो
बहुत
webcam
बुरी
है.
बात है.
मैंने अपने लैपटॉप में बुक्स रखी हुई हैं. That was completely unnecessary.
We have a tripod. We're so cool. But anyway, so Isma, a lot of people also asked about like the Muskan Tower. People are really curious. Also because हमने Shehr E Tabassum, we haven't really gone into who the F Muskan is. Like if you buy a graphic journal, a people graphic journal, you get a sense of what this entity is, how much control it has over everybody's lives, what it wants, right? But so in the film, you hear Muskan and you see this tower and you kind of connect the dots and you realize it's Muskan Tower. But like, so like the inspiration for the tower, like what it looked like, and then we'll go into the naam as well. Like, why do we choose Muskan? We should also talk about Shehr E Tabassum, like why Shehr E Tabassum, and then our Hasmukh. And then I also remember, like in the beginning, stage one, being in the old office, just Isma ki screen ke upar there was like this rickshaw, like early on, this rickshaw that you'd made, flying rickshaw, and then there was also like talk about the establishing shot as well.
Yeah. So the tower. So I think because the very first scene is like when she opens the door, right? And the first background, the first environment that you see is the city at night, with the tower like right in the middle. And that was the very first background that I worked on. Like that is we thought of the tower. Like I think the tower was this scene. The tower was something that existed shuru se, and because we had all these influences, right? Like we had watched Akira together, we were thinking of Blade Runner. And I think for me personally as well, 1984 was a huge influence because the Big Brother and everything, and that eye constantly watching you.
Yeah.
Like it made sense for a tower to be there. And Arfat Shuru se had made very clear that there has to be a tower. And I remember like I experimented with so before we made this establishing short, I had this other thing. एक second screen share करें अभी.
एक मिनट
Haseeb.
Okay, source. I'll share the background that I made. सबसे पहले it was hideous. And उसके अंदर like we really didn't get a feel of the film.
Oh, the old,
The
bubble,
yeah,
the bubble gum
the-
bag.
Oh god, it was so hideous. 6 seconds.
It wasn't hideous. It was just different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to see what that film
I
as
made-
well.
You wanna see that?
Yeah.
I made this and it did not feel right for obvious reasons. This is like, what is this? And this is not even the future. This is like present day something. Anyway,
Like a
और मैंने
quirky
बनाया
shoot in
था.
Thailand or somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. और मैंने बनाया and if I अच्छा, before if I was like अच्छा ये होना चाहिए like do this. I made it and I was like, and we were just looking at it, we were like, what is this? This is not right. and then if I was like, listen, go crazy, do whatever you want. And like when I had zero instructions, that is not me throwing shade. But like when I had like zero instructions, I ended up making the establishments that we have now.
Yeah.
And I can't change the whatever. So I ended up making that, and yeah, there isn't much of a story behind the Muskan Tower, I guess. I mean, except for the name and everything.
I mean,
tower-
the height changed. That's the story. It used to be shorter.
It used to be shorter?
Muskan Tower
Oh,
used to be shorter.
Oh.
It used to be shorter, and in the end, so this was the very last thing. For the entire year and a half, like the establishing shot was the same. In the last few months before I left, the last couple of months, I guess, I was like, the establishing shot doesn't look right. I want to change the tower, and I made it much taller. And this like
Tower.
this like the whole canvas for it was like vertical, and the tower was like rising above the city, and it was much more ominous, much more detailed. It had more lights, and we had much more stuff. But that is how the tower changed, I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
The names, we were talking about this yesterday. But we've never actually, I don't remember if people asked us about the names in the screenings, like why do we call it Shehr E Tabassum, why do we call it Muskan? But I remember being in the old office. It was all of us in this tiny kamra, and we were just going over different names, and Sami recommended Tabassum, uske zehn mein Tabassum aaya tha, and it was some ghazal jiske andar kuch tha. And then Fatma was there, Fatma, who was also a writer on Tabassum and the Peoplegraphic Journal. And she mentioned, because the city is so central to this story, so she was like, oh, Intizar Hussein's Shehr Afsos, what if we combine the two? And then the other contender was Muskan. And so we were going to choose between Shehr E Tabassum
And Muskan, I think, came from Haseeb, didn't it?
Muskan came from Rafi. Hasmukh also came
वो
from
बेसिकली तब वो निकला था मुन्नी बेगम का जो एक बार मुस्कुरादो से जो ना ये सारे लफ्ज निकले थे तबस्सुम और
yeah, that's right.
And then we were like, nee, Shehr E Tabassum has like weight, so we went with that. And then Shumal came up with like the most unbelievable like title for it, which had like a smile and I remember the day that you reviewed it to me. I don't remember all con tha kamra, but I was just like, oh my god, this is amazing. But
there are two types for it.
And dusra wala to bilkul end mein aaya tha, right? But we stayed with the smile one for the longest time. And then when did you come up with the other one, the one that comes on the opening scene of the film,
with the cipher one?
Opening scene वाला start हुआ था शेर आने से पहले मैंने उस कॉन्सेप्ट को एक्सप्लोर किया हुआ था डिसजॉइंटेड लेटर्स को जो तो वो मैंने थीसिस के टाइम पर मेरे ख्याल से, और मैंने पता नहीं शायद मैंने इस्मा को पहले दिखाया था या नहीं, लेकिन उस टाइम पर ऐसे मैंने रैंडमली खोला हुआ था और इस्मा ने देखा और इस्मा कहती ये तो उसके साथ जा सकता है, तो वहां से फिर स्टार्ट हुआ। हाँ, तो हुआ ये कि मैं रियलाइज नहीं कर रहा था कि वो कंसेप्चुअली इसके साथ फिट हो सकता था, क्योंकि जिस अच्छा अभी जो इस मैंने कॉन्सेप्ट की बात की है उसके साथ किस तरह से फिट इन हो सकता था मैं थॉट्स करेक्ट कर सॉरी अच्छा
Go for it.
ऐसा तो बिकॉज ये वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस ही था इसी तरह कि मतलब ऐसा नहीं था कि पहली दफा देखते ही एग्जैक्टली पता चल गया था कि क्या कॉन्सेप्ट किस कंसेप्चुअल वेट उसका क्या होगा कंसेप्चुअल इनपुट उसका क्या होगा फिल्म के अंदर लेकिन इसमा के साथ भी ये बात होती रहती थी आहिस्ता आहिस्ता उस कॉन्सेप्ट को करते रहते थे कि जो इन्फ्लुएंस हमने दिखाना है एक तो साइबरपंक के साथ जो एसोसिएशन है चाइनीज टाइपोग्राफी की या जापानीज टाइपोग्राफी की और उसकी जो वजह थी कि जब साइबरपंक जॉनर स्टार्ट हुआ था तब प्रेडिक्ट किया जाता था कि जापान टेक्नोलॉजिकल सुपर पावर बन जाएगी इवेंचुअली और उसी चीज को मिरर करना किसी तरह से कंसेप्चुअली टाई इन करना सिर्फ उस साइबर पंक की एसोसिएशन का नहीं लेकिन लोकल कॉन्टेक्स्ट को भी रिप्रेजेंट करना तो वो जो कनेक्शन था जापानीज और चाइनीज स्क्रिप्ट का कि वो दोनों सेम स्क्रिप्ट यूज करते हैं जिस तरह से अरबिक और उर्दू यूज करते हैं उस तरह से और वो जो डिटैच्ड लेटर्स थे वो उस कॉन्सेप्ट को काफी अच्छी तरह वो रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे थे तो हर लेटर को चाइनीज स्क्रिप्ट को स्टडी कर हर लेटर को एक इंडिविजुअल पिक्टोग्राम के तौर पर बनाने की कोशिश की गई और हाँ वो जो फाइनल जो टाइटल था वो आखिरी दिन तक उस तरह से नहीं था उसकी काफी वर्जन्स आपको नजर आती हैं फिल्म के अंदर भी जो एस्टैब्लिशिंग शॉट है उसके अंदर जो साइनेज है उसमें भी आपको एक डिफरेंट वर्जन नजर आएगी जो लेबर सीन की जो टाइपोग्राफी है उसके अंदर आपको एक डिफरेंट वर्जन नजर आएगी लेकिन जो टाइटल सीक्वेंस था ना वो उसका फाइनल फॉर्म था उस टाइप फेस का एक तरह से
So another like really like when I think back to the year like when we shifted to this office and when you guys were working on the bus, one of my most like predominant memories is of you guys just like huddled up together like pareshan trying to solve a problem, right? So and it happened with various scenes and obviously because it was the first time that we were ever doing first person hand drawn.
Yes, and B also we were doing a hand drawn animation from a first person perspective.
Yeah.
जिसका मुराद ये हो रहा था कि the environment had to be animated constantly as well.
Yeah, so and I feel like I mean I remember us researchers just looking across. We have this glass screen in our office, just looking into this room and just seeing these huddled there for hours and hours, and they're just discussing and discussing, and we would just hope they would arrive at some solution because it would be some scene or the other will fix all that, then they would move on to this other scene and just be like, well, fuck, how do we figure this thing out? And so I want you guys to talk about, like, for example, the shadi scene, the elevator scene, the running scene, like, talk about whatever maslas you guys had with those.
I mean, so Haseeb and Isma both had issues with elevator tak pahuncha kis tarah, naksha kya hai. So
I saw tell them about your naksha, please.
So you guys go ahead and like.
Oh my god, okay.
Yeah.
Man, the amount of problem solving that this film required, I'm not even kidding, every single week we would have that one day jab we were like, ye masla hai, gather the team, sit down for like
gather the team.
Oh my god. But those like as like it was very exhausting, yes, but it was so much fun. We loved problem solving because we were like, okay, what do we do now? But the elevator. So I remember like so the second section of the film was, as I mentioned, like far more complicated. And this is when she starts running through the city. And then obviously because we had like brought in 3D into our process, we had to also think in terms of space. We had to think spatially, what is that space like? And also, for instance, like if she's just entered the establishing shot and she turns right, there's a market there. But from the market, if she looks back at the street, like the angle will be different. So like we had to consider all these different things. Get space change hogi, and she's like entering that space and going rapidly through it. So I made this little map. And I was like, acha, theek hai. So this is where the market is. Isse for aage, yeah. And I like marked all these things out. I don't know where the map is now. But I made this like map of not the entire city, obviously, but like all the different points where she was going to go. And then like the final point, which is the building, the elevator, she goes up and then to her room. And and that map kept getting more and more complicated. I kept adding more things. I was like, bridge bhi hoga, you know, she like look down and he said, traffic jayegi, she looked, she like there. And like, obviously, to animate the entire background and like जितने head turns थे, जितने ज़्यादा like जितने भी turns थे, that would make things more and more complicated. So we had to like cut it down बहुत ज़्यादा by the end. But anyway, this map was there, and I remember ke the last scene where she goes to the elevator. Initially, we were like, "Acha, theek hai." So she goes to the building. She's panting. She stops. She's waiting. She presses the button of the elevator. This was so unnecessarily like itna lamba humne socha hua tha. And we were like, she presses the button. The elevator doors, like the elevator is arriving. She looks up, and there's like this network of elevators outside the building, and like diagonally and like vertically and horizontally, and it's like this weird system. And she look back, and then the doors open, and then she enters the elevator, goes up, and then after a few stories she then sees the cityscape. And I was like, हाँ, you know, like वो अंदर जाएगी, बस दरवाजा पीछे बंद होगा और बस देख लेगी वो. And I was like, and this conversation lasted for hours, and it's so funny, like इतनी छोटी सी बात पे I was like, एक second, the elevator doors open, सिटी तो उसके पीछे है, तो उसको पीछे नहीं मुड़ना चाहिए वापस. and then we were like, नहीं, but पीछे तो दरवाजे हैं, पीछे like it's not glass. So like I was like, then should she turn like 90 degrees and like not 180 and it was like such a long conversation. And then Alpha came up with this crazy architectural solution where he was like, Acha, so the building is made in a way that there are like gaps between each story, so like between each gap you can like see the city. Nice. And I was like, okay, and then I drew that crazy building model. Oh my gosh. So these were the kind of, and we would like end up laughing our asses off during these conversations. But then we would go back and be like, acha, ye bahut ajeeb si problem hai. Anyway, in the end, we realized that we were doing a lot of world building, yes, but it wasn't important to like stick to such rigid rules कि अच्छा नहीं, लेकिन viewer ने अभी तो ये देखा है, viewer कहेगा अब ये street कैसे आ गई है, ये तो left पे थी, right? Like it was just, and we were like, you know what, we'll just do what we feel is right, and we chucked the map
क्या
out.
पता चलेगा किसी को, कौन किसको क्या पता चलेगा कि वो सही रास्ते से घर
मैं तो start से ही कह रहा था.
Oh yeah, and I didn't know what to listen to.
मेरा ख्याल है कि ये इस वजह से शायद वो ज्यादा हम उस चीज में थे क्योंकि हम यही चाहते थे कि उस एंजाइटी को एक्सप्रेस करने के लिए ना वो सिंगल शॉट वाली चीज कैरी की जाए, मतलब वो सिंगल शॉट और कंटिन्यूटी कैरी करना जरूरी है ताकि जो है ना वो उसका स्ट्रेस फील होता रहे. तो उसके लिए कंटिन्यूटी के लिए जरूरी था कि नक्शा बने, उसके लिए जरूरी था कि भी वो हर तरह से सोचा जाए.
लेकिन हसीब सिंगल शॉट को जब हमने रिजेक्ट भी कर दिया था ना, उसके बाद भी काफी अरसे तक तुम और इस्मा को ये बहुत कोई सवालात बहुत थे तुम लोगों के पास हर रोज कि लेकिन अरफात जब वो 2 कदम लेफ्ट हुई थी तो उसके लेफ्ट पे एक और कमरा नहीं होना चाहिए. एंड आई वुड जस्ट स्क्रैच माय हेड, व्हाई डज इट मैटर, वी आर टेलिंग शी इज मूविंग फ्रॉम पॉइंट ए टू पॉइंट बी. The question is the navigation right now. But I mean, it was very crucial though, because I think I'm such a non-attention to details person, and both of these guys, especially Isma, very detail oriented, and that pull was very crucial for us to at least be somewhere in the middle. Otherwise, we would have done like ridiculous shit like Wachanak Urdi or whatever the hell. At least it made some. As Hasib calls it, continuity sense. And yeah, and a lot of so even when Isma says 3D, what she means is like 3D references. They were all hand drawn by the end. So even the discussions and conversations about how and where she moves was not as much dictated by the fact that 3D involved her, but by the fact that she has a journey to make from point A to point B. And we're cutting darmiyan mein. And so it can be a little disorienting. And for me, that was not a bad thing. I was like, फिर disorienting हो जाए खैर है, you know, because some people still didn't realize that that was an elevator.
Yeah.
There's certain people who thought कि वो जो है disintegrate हो रही है, she's going up, you know, during the screening. And like she's, because there were people who did not know the elevator है. Because we even removed the 1, 2, 3, 4 floor screen
thing. So I spent so much time on that. We removed that.
And yeah, so we went to like that cityscape sahi tha nazar aaya, and people thought, oh my gosh, she's been taken to the headquarters.
Or, being taken to
Just like that kid was. So we even got that, and I love that. I love that someone thought that and they enjoyed the film as well. Because it's a short film, it does not have to have a very reliable narrative. Exactly ye hua tha. So by
Every
the end,
short filmmaker out there is just like, oh my god, who is this man? What is he saying? But no, talk about the shadi scene as well, please. People need to know about the bulbs and the smoke. So now we need to talk about the damn smoke.
यार हाँ वो स्कोप बनाने में बड़ा लाइक लंबा टाइम लगा था उसके लिए लाइक एक तो उसका सरफेस बनाना फिर उसकी ऊपर जो है सिटी की लाइट्स इस तरह उसके ऊपर रिफ्लेक्ट कर रही हैं तो वो बड़ा एक लंबा सा प्रोसेस था
I mean, इसलिए हाथ से कि हर सेकंड में 12 दफा
हाँ
धुआं किस
और
तरह
उस
चेंज हो
हाँ
रहा है and now
हाँ
so
और
change
उसकी
हो रहा है but
मूवमेंट
कैमरा भी आगे जा रहा है.
Yeah.
हाँ जी
So it's not just that he was drawing smoke, which is normal in any animated film. You can draw smoke, but there's a first-person perspective, so the camera is going all over the place and the smoke is coming all over the place. So he had to adjust that, and then there were these damn bulbs. Every frame, there were like what 50, 60 bulbs.
Oh my gosh.
And those bulbs had to be hand painted so
And
that
Aman did that, right?
Aman Hassan,
Yeah.
and etc. etc.
No, the
Yeah.
shadi scene was like the one scene just पे literally हमारा पूरा दफ्तर, including the research room that included people who have nothing to do with filmmaking, were sitting there like literally. I could rattle off names like Ikra Ehsan, Momin,
Musa.
Fatma, Shahrukh, Musa. Everybody was flattering or highlighting because there were like 50
Ehsan.
plus characters that you guys had made, and they all had to. It was a
They were-
mammoth scene, man.
Yeah, the shadi scene जितना थोड़ी देर के लिए होता है उतना
2
ही ज़्यादा
seconds के
dense
लिए
है.
आता है और फिर it's just-
The bulbs, the characters, but Hasib did such a fantastic job with the blocking of that shot and the character animations, especially the dhol wala is one of the first things that he animated. Or the interesting thing is about this film, because it's in first person, so the camera is just all over the place, so you have to so there was a reference point at all times कि वो इधर देख के इधर वापस आए, the dhol wala has to still make logical sense कि वो कहाँ पाया जा रहा है. So a lot of animation also did get lost in that because cuts हैं. But he made a terrific construction animation. फिर उसके ऊपर Sanabil ने made this really the guy with this amazing hair,
Yeah.
flying amazing hair, which then you would highlight over,
Yeah,
and
you
then
would cover
just-
everything up.
and then we अपने हाथों से we would destroy their personality. So we were the oppressors
Yeah.
to those characters. If you
Yeah,
see a
so-
version of that film without
Without
highlights, you would see कि oh इसके इस तरह के बाल थे और ये इस तरह के रंग थे, and we
Oh, this person likes to have green hair.
Yes,
Oh,
but
interesting.
no, the
But
city
no.
won't allow you
Yeah,
to
that's
look so
true, yeah.
different and unique. So yeah,
Gosh. My favorite
Yeah.
character from that entire scene is the little bachi at the end that's like, "Ah!" She's just doing her own thing. She's twirling.
the dancing.
The dancing.
I animated that.
You
Oh my
Yeah, I
Ab
animated that.
Mubarak ho aapko bahut.
I think like the process went hand in hand with the concept of the film, where we just like kill off all the personalities of the people. But I think for this scene, this is also the part where Zara and I started pressing for diversity in body shapes and sizes and like what people look like. We were like, एक second. We need like different looking women and men, different heights, but different shapes, and different fashion sense. And Zara ka ye tha, like she in this scene, I love the clothes that she made even Aman. Like they gave the characters jewelry and shadi clothes. And I mean, it was only a very, very tiny scene. But this is where like everyone went all out. Like we didn't have to stick to like strict colors. We were like, this is a shadi. And we can like bring
Yeah.
elements that like some of our cultural elements and yeah, so that was super fun.
I feel like another scene that was again like really complicated that also brought like every person, at least in the design team, worked on it, had something to contribute, was like the labor scene. Because there's so much happening in the labor scene as well. There's like ads, there's the people, there's the vehicles, there's the backgrounds, and then those 2 kids that get zapped. Like I remember
You don't
it
get
was-
zapped.
No, not zapped, like electrocuted. But even those like
Oh.
beams, yes, yeah. But I remember like the first time around that we played it to an audience, people didn't get it, and then we were like, oh, we need to shock them more. And then Hira stepped in and she spent like days and days and days just like making those
blue lights
like harsher, but I'm like, ugh, it was disturbing.
yeah, that was a very big canvas. Isma first like made the foundation canvas, and then uske baad everybody had an ad to contribute. So उधर शुमाइल के ads भी चल रहे हैं बने हुए, ज़ारा के बने हुए ads भी चल रहे हैं, हसीब के बने हुए ad भी चल रहे
इसमा
हैं,
की एक पुरानी animation
and इसमा की पुरानी animation भी चल रही है उसकी या जिसमें पानी जो है ना कम हुई जा रहा है 2047 तक, and then उसका अपना बनाया हुआ ad भी चल रहा है, and obviously then the character animation जो उसमें हुई हुई है ना जिसमें बच्चे दो वो करें, that's the first thing that Haseeb animated. In fact, Haseeb, why don't you talk to us कि तुम जब आए थे और अचानक ये हमने कहा था कि हम animations कर रहे हैं तो जरा ये बच्चे ना ये खुदाई कर रहे हैं, जरा animation करो. तो तुम्हारे ज़हन में क्या था, ये क्या कि बनेगी फिल्म, क्या सीन था?
मतलब उस पॉइंट पे ना ये बहुत वो था, इसका फिल्म का स्केल, मतलब वो इसकी ड्यूरेशन और इसकी जितनी बीट्स थी ना वो काफी कम थी, और लेकिन उसका जो वो बीट्स में जो उसका एम था ना, एम्बिशियस, बहुत ज्यादा एम्बिशियस था उसका स्टाइल, एस्थेटिक्स जो कैप्चर करना चाह रहे थे, जो मूड, और वो मेरी बैक हुई थी कि यार ये डुएबल है भी कि नहीं, मतलब क्योंकि मेरी इतनी कैपेसिटी नहीं थी कि मैं इतना पुश कर सकूं एनिमेशन को या स्टाइलिस्टिकली, लेकिन जब जुड़ती है ना चीजें लोगों के साथ और सारा कुछ, मैं भी ये बात कर रहा था कि भी फॉर एग्जांपल वो ट्रक की एग्जांपल में इसमा को मैंने वो ट्रक दिया, वो बड़ा डल और ब्लैंड सा ट्रक था, और वो घंटे 1.5 घंटे के अंदर मैंने इसमा की स्क्रीन पे देखा, मैंने कहा ये क्या है, ये क्या है, ये मतलब ये तो नहीं ये कितना फिट हो गया, मतलब उसके अंदर जो चीजें आ गई, जो उसके अंदर जो रिचनेस थी ना, वो मतलब वो सारी जुड़ने से, लोगों के काम जुड़ने से और सारा कुछ उस तरह से वो काफी फिट हो गई थी, और मतलब वो बच्चों वाली एनिमेशन वो मेरा पहली एनिमेशन थी, और उसके अंदर प्रोसेस नहीं पता था कि अभी हम क्या करने वाले हैं, अभी प्रोसेस एनिमेशन का क्या होगा, और मेरा ख्याल है वो आखिर तक उस काफी इसी तरह रही है, हालांकि वो पहली एनिमेशन थी, लेकिन वो काफी बाद में जाके वो फाइनल की हमने और कहा कि ये हाँ ये यहाँ पे यूज होगी, और वो था काफी इंटरेस्टिंग था, वो काफी इंटरेस्टिंग चीज थी कि भी यार नए तरीके से हम प्रोसेस अपना डेवलप करेंगे, हम नए तरीके से करेंगे। वो एक खातून थी उसके अंदर, वो एक एनिमेट की थी हमने शुरू में, जो हाथ हिलाती हैं शुरू में, ताकि हम वो एक ग्रीटिंग करती है ना, मतलब वो कि भी वो फल वाली दुकान पे खड़ी हुई हैं, और हाँ हाँ, तो मतलब इस तरह की चीजें हम एक्सपेरिमेंट कर रहे थे, हम मुझे रूल्स पता चल रहे थे कि शहर तबस्सुम के रूल्स क्या हैं, कि कौन कितना मुस्कुरा सकता है, मतलब हंस नहीं सकता कोई, या कोई किसी को दाढ़ी रखना या वो चीजें अलाउड नहीं है, तो मैं भी समझ रहा था उस सारा के भी कैरेक्टर्स क्या हैं, या मतलब लोगों की नेचर क्या है।
Yeah, and I mean, हाँ ये वाली आंटी जो हेलो बोलती है, you know, I think Haseeb really made a good point there कि जो लोगों का जुड़ना है ना, ये फिल्म शेर ए तबस्सुम is बहुत layered और बहुत textured film है. I don't think we'll probably, like for example the second film we're making is not necessarily super textured, it's very layered, it's very textured, and I think वो textured और layering आई ही इसी वजह से है because बहुत सारे लोगों का आपस में जुड़ना, उन लोगों के स्टाइल्स कॉम्प्रोमाइज हुए बगैर आपस में कैसे दे मर्ज टुगेदर, एंड हसीब एंड इस्मा रियली I think were key in that, and by the end Isma was really key in making sure कि अच्छा what end creative decisions they can actually take that takes into consideration Shamail's graphic and type sensibilities and Haseeb's character sensibilities and movement sensibilities and the way she wants the film to look and merge it all together. So, and to इसलिए it looks very, it has its own distinct style. I would even say that the way it's highlighted, it does not look like a cyberpunk film, just like another cyberpunk, apart from the fact that it has like two-tone neon colors, and that comes from the highlight process. And जिस तरह हसीब ने बोला कि एक चीज किसी और के पास जाती थी तो वो उसके ऊपर अपना स्टैम्प डालते थे, तीसरे बंदे के पास आती थी, and that was like a jazz improvisation that by the end ended up being a very textured film.
Yeah, and I want to add more to that. I feel like in the beginning when Haseeb came in, or labor boys, jab anime kiye the and all that, like I think what I loved most about our process is also the fact that all of us got to do a bit of everything. And because when I started out, I was like, I was making the environments, I was making the backgrounds. And I did not think that at some point I would be animating a character. And that was like a very, like that character showed up for like a millisecond, and that wasn't a very important character. But I think in the beginning, like I learned so much even from Haseeb. Like when he animated those labor characters, we were like, okay, wow, okay, we need this guy. And even जो सबसे पहला bot था, because at that time we were also thinking about using PV Paint as a software, and we were like, "Acha, theek hai, like what is our process going to be?" I remember like our workstation, like मैं Zara और Harseet at that point, and Shumal पीछे बैठा हुआ था working on that the lady I just showed. But I remember Haseeb was working on the labor scene. I was doing the establishing shot, and Zara on the side was like problem solving all these things with TV Paint and stuff. And like within a day, I remember Zara made the very first bot. Like I had made the design and I sent it to Zara, and she animated like the full turnaround. And we were like, holy shit, because we at that time were thinking in terms of visuals, yes, but we hadn't really like seen it come to life. And mere right because he was doing that the character design, and left because I was making the bot. And honestly, like that was so important because all of us saw each other grow as creatives. All of us got to experiment with different techniques. We all got to switch files. Ke, "Acha, theek hai, tum highlights kar lo, ya tum animation kar lo." Ya. Like it was so collaborative. And as Asif said, like by the end, it ended up becoming this crazy thing that had a bit of everyone in it, which was amazing. But
Oh,
yeah.
you guys, I'm so proud of you guys.
I mean, you were in it.
Yeah, we're proud of
You're
both.
throughout the film, and you're at the end of the film.
And I'm everywhere.
I mean, the whole last sequence is.
Yeah. We'll get to that, Bobby.
Acha, okay.
Anyway, so I'm looking over more questions. So somebody asked us, and Chubad, I need you to answer this, but like somebody finally noticed. So the sad bit about this movie is we put so much thought and detail into every scene in building this world, and I feel like it's not appreciated enough. But anyway, so
How much more
somebody,
appreciation do you need?
I want somebody to like pick out every single thing. But somebody finally asked us, "Kicha, wo ek scene आता है जहाँ पे right side में movie posters लगे हुए हैं, right?" And so I want you to talk about. I want you to tell me what those movies are. Who acted in them? What are their plots? And how did you come up with their names? And while you're at it, everybody went batshit crazy over Kalfata and all these store names that were puns that were all used. So can you just please talk about that?
मैं स्क्रीन शेयर भी कर सकता हूँ, मेरे पास वो मूवी पोस्टर्स ही पड़े हुए हैं.
Go for it.
हाँ.
We're so excited about our
As we should be.
As
it should be.
Posters.
How long are we supposed to be in?
So
Haris Lambazu और
आ गए?
I just want to talk about
स्क्रीन पर आ गए?
नहीं
and music.
अभी नहीं है.
नहीं, आपको ना ओपन करने के बाद स्क्रीन शेयर करनी होगी.
Open the window first. It'll take a second recipe.
आगे?
No. Have you? So it's at the. Oh wait, it's happening.
आ गया.
बात से सबसे पहले.
Oh no! This is low-key pornographic. Take it off. अच्छा.
मैं यहाँ से स्टार्ट करता हूँ.
सूरज का शेर.
ठीक है. तो
I remember this one section जहाँ पे हमने बैठ के brainstorm किए थे नाम, right?
शाहरुख, मैं और आप बैठे हुए थे. और हालांकि वो जो सबसे पहला पोस्टर भी येलो वाला भी जो नजर आया, जो एरोटिक था, वो सबने मिलकर उसके नाम सोचे थे. बाद में सबने डिनाई कर दिया, तो बात मेरे पर आ गई थी कि तुम किस तरह के पोस्टर्स बना रहे हो. अच्छा. तो
क्या कहानी है मूवी की?
आप भी पिचन कर सकती हैं कि हमने नाम
आपने
सोचा था.
सतलज का शहर का प्लॉट बताओ मुझे. I want to know क्या होता है इस शहर में.
I think Sutlej ka Shehr was based off of Hamza Ali Wasi. I'm not sure. I forget, but it was like this very like patriotic guy who's like, you know, yeah, I'm here to like defend her.
ये
मेरे ख्याल से हमने
हाँ.
ये हमने टाइन करना तो उसके साथ जर्नल के अंदर जो
Civil War.
सिविल वॉर थी ना उसके साथ
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
It's like this
plot.
hero from
Epic
War
war
Hero.
film. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Next
war
film.
Next film. Amazing.
इसके अगर
Can you also talk about the names on the bottom? Oh gosh, Can you read them out, please?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. These are all our. You.
हारिस लंबाजू हारिस मंसूर जो कि अपनी इलस्ट्रेशंस के अंदर लिम्स को बहुत ज्यादा elongate कर देता है एक्सटेंड कर देता है हसान था उसको मसान रजा कर दिया इस्मा गुल हसन को अस्मा गुलाली कर दिया अमन आसिफ यमन वासिफ रास्ती अपने यूजर नेम के साथ अपीयर होती है रास्ती पाए और डायरेक्टेड बाय शाहरुख असलम की जगह माहरुख असलम
Amazing.
And it's a propaganda film.
Yeah.
Muskan production.
Yeah,
so,
Muskan.
yeah.
All these films are Muskan production, I think.
Yeah.
Except for Bottom.
Robon.
Robon was also and what were we thinking?
Why was he
What
ignoring
were we
Robon?
thinking? I don't know,
रहमान
he
से
went
पहले
over it.
Robon है.
हम
यार ये इतना
सीक्वेंस पे भी जा
खूबसूरत
सकते हैं मैं वापस उस पे भी जा सकता हूँ क्योंकि अगर हम इवेंचुअली उनके ऊपर आए तो बेहतर होगा
अच्छा okay. Rahman's that this looks like a Steve Jobs epic.
Yeah, it was a Steve Jobs epic.
Aaron Sorkin screenplay.
About Hasib Rahman, who is no, let's not spoil it. Let's not spoil it. Yeah. It's like a biopic.
About Amir Mumlikat.
Yeah. Savior of the nation.
इसमें हसीब स्टार्ट करता है हसीब रहमान राजू बुलबुला ज़हरा आमिर माहर आमिर अरफात मजहर अरफू मजा शुमाइल हैदर शुमा गोली दोबारा रास्ती पाए और मारूफ असलम
Amazing.
ये था एक स्पेस एडवेंचर दास्तान सरफरोश
I don't remember this. Amazing.
हाँ और इसकी कास्ट भी सेम थी क्योंकि वो जो मुस्कान स्टूडियोज हैं वो रिगर्जिटेट कर रहे थे एक्टर्स को
Obviously.
ठीक है फिर सोचा था कि जिस तरह से पाकिस्तान के अंदर स्टेज ड्रामास और वो उनकी प्रेजेंस भी होनी चाहिए उस जॉनर की कैटेगरी प्रेजेंस होनी चाहिए तो हमने नाम सोचे थे डिफरेंट जो रोबोट्स को भी इंक्लूड करते थे लेकिन एरोटिक फिल्म्स को भी सजेस्ट करते थे और ये बता दूं नाम मेरे पर आ गया था कि ये मैंने सोचा लेकिन ये शाहरुख ने सोचा था रोबोन
सब झूठ तुमने ने सोचे थे गंदे नाम
उसके अंदर इन वर्ल्ड एक स्टूडियो का नाम भी सोच रहा था जो कि इन फिल्म्स को प्रोड्यूस करता था शर्म मसाला फिल्म्स
gosh
डिटेल्स और एक्सप्लिसिट हो जाती है मुझे नहीं पता है कि उन पर उनको एलैबोरेट करना चाहिए
नहीं let's just move on
people can use their imagination
yeah visuals pretty much so it's fine
फिर ये पोस्टर था एनिमेटेड एक जो कि प्रियस का इक्विवेलेंट था शेर ए तबस्सुम का टेक फ्लाइट इन द ऑल न्यू टोयोटा प्रियस और ये थोड़ा सा प्ले ऑन वर्ड्स द जॉय happiness or free us
again I did not even know about this like Shumal
what kind of producer
yeah Shumal I learn something from you every day do you have like some of your like gaadiyan and bikes that you made
गाड़ियां मेरे ख्याल से नहीं वो इसमें नहीं पड़ेगी
yes
हाँ मैं और चीजें दिखा सकता हूँ अगर
are there more Insta questions
there was a question about music obviously Joe I feel like you can cover at the end but a lot of people were also interested in asking about all the deleted scenes and then yesterday Isma and I made like a list
Achha.
and then we realized there was quite a lot of stuff that was deleted so Isma tell them okay so first of all I feel like and let's talk about the Zeppelin situation because that's just a fascinating story
yeah so
God.
there was supposed to be this part again there were so many things that we thought of including But so there's a scene where she's running through this tunnel, this underground tunnel. There are like screens on both sides. And after that, like after she runs up the stairs, she's gonna like there's gonna be sky upper, and she's gonna look up, and this huge zeppelin thing was going to like fly over her like very slowly, and she like her eye was gonna follow it. like वो पूरा हमने सोचा था. And wait, I'll share my screen. I don't have like all the sketches, but I have the drawing of the final one. Take a second. I made this vehicle that later I gave to Hasib, and he had to render it in 3D.
Yeah, pura render हुआ था 3D में.
Yeah.
It was this vehicle, this Zeppelin thingy, and this was inspired by, I remember Zaya ki suggestion thi hai कि before making this, we were like, अच्छा ठीक है, because we wanted the forms to be like, a lot of the things that I made in the film were inspired by insects, like even the barber chair that you see, like it was inspired by insects and like creatures from Ghibli films and stuff like that. So I remember कि ये हमने बनाया था, and then Hasib rendered it in 3D, and then it was sent back to us, and we spent so much time like frame by frame by frame, Zai and I were like drawing it, and that didn't even get included. और अभी तक incomplete file कहीं पड़ी हुई है Zeppelin की, and no one even like looked at it again. I was like, चलो end में शायद we might add it, or we might like include this in like the deleted scenes or whatever, but that never happened. But yeah, that was the
No, that
Zeppelin.
was that would have been impossible. Basically, the एक disorientation दिखानी थी. The protagonist looks up and there's this really intimidating ship. And I remember Isma also took a water bottle to simulate, okay, this is how it's gonna look like. But yeah, but there were other deleted sequences.
Yeah, there was the Ali Bhai wala scene. Gosh, the Ali Bhai. So there was this scene, there's this whole scene that we even enacted. Like, हमारा एक छोटा सा दफ्तर था और इसके छोटे से like driveway भी नहीं था, वो पता नहीं क्या था. And then we like full on phone के साथ, we were like Ali Bhai, Assalamu alaikum Ali Bhai. And then there was this whole exchange that would happen between the protagonist who's buying Pal, and then we were like, oh, how do we make Pal look cool and cyberpunky? So we were like blue kele, and then the kid, now a kid who gets zapped was actually like a grown ass man.
Yeah.
जो police से लड़ रहा था, and he was saying मैं खुश हूँ, and it was a whole thing. But केले वो पूरा animate हुआ था वो पूरा scene, like वो end scene के अंदर, right, in the credit sequence.
Yeah.
थोड़ा सा है
And
उसका
there
एक
was-
piece है उसमें.
Or Instagram में भी हल्का सा
Yeah,
है.
and there was a chai wali auntie that you made that we discarded. There was a smoking spy that you made that we discarded.
Yeah.
चाय
Arfan
वाली तो
also
आई
had
थी
this-
फिल्म में.
वो end credit में आ गई थी ना.
chai wali auntie aa gayi. That was cute. I remember we posted it on Instagram, Alexa, and people were like, "Oh, what a cute auntie." There was also this ridiculous idea that you had for a bot brothel.
Oh yeah,
like
I wanted a
or-
bot brothel.
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Which we had to fight him over. Like, no, this is not. gonna
Yeah,
happen.
they didn't let me. I wanted basically for the dark tunnels for there to be like a Hira Mandi kind of a place where she looks right and you can see a shadow of someone doing something, but not with a human being. It's like a bot-like thing, and it was more for ambience sake, but and not for narrative. More for the mood, but yeah, that got
I was
rejected
pretty
by
much
the team.
against that. I was like,
Yeah,
no.
everyone was.
Yeah, you
Everybody was
I think
like,
Haseeb ने शायद थोड़ी सी lift कराई थी idea को,
हाँ,
but
Haseeb ने कराई थी,
but no one else was up for
all
it.
the dudes were like, yeah.
नहीं
Women were like, no.
No, that's not it.
But no, I also have a sketch of your you made the protagonist lady's bedroom, and then it was supposed to be in the main film, but then we
Oh
moved
yeah,
it to
I
the-
have it. Wait, let me share it. So that was the
Yeah.
sketch, and then I made. Take a second. Where is the screen?
Look how cute these are.
Ish.
Yeah, I will.
It was this.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And animate भी किया था ये. Wait.
इस पे इसने अपने सेब और केले फेंकने थे.
Yeah, she was gonna run in, and वो भी हमने नैक किया था, भागती आती है, and then वो अपना shopper फेंकती है,
Yeah.
the save and the
Oh
kid.
shit! Yeah, I remember that.
I also have these sketches of yours. It's not like ये वो alley scene था with the ATM machines or
उल्टा
thumb
उल्टा
machines.
उल्टा
Oh, sorry.
उल्टा पकड़ ले।
And then this was her corridor.
Yeah, right outside the house.
We
And
cannot
then
see.
Wait.
You should.
Let me show like a
do it,
before
do it.
where you see
Do
the
it.
sketch. And wait, where did it go? I don't know. Something's wrong. It's fine. Chalo, kuch nahi.
And then I have like your bathroom ka sketch. Cute stuff. Look at that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I changed a lot. Like sketches very different.
Yeah.
You know, it's very influenced by our actual bathroom in the office as well. It's very narrow now.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Jahan
have
par
a
baar
picture to prove that. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you guys with like screen share.
Do it. Show us.
But I went to my office bathroom and I took a
And then-
picture, and then I'll show you guys like how I take the round mirror and like. And acha, so for the final scene, the only instructions I had from my part were मुझे बस लाल कमरा चाहिए मुझे बस like बहुत लाल कमरा चाहिए. I was like okay, and because I like Fat knows this and he tried to change this a lot, and like it did change somewhat by the end, but I love chromatic scenes, and I was like okay, all red, that's my forte. And wait, let me, yeah, so this is the I took this picture, this is me in the bathroom.
That's my office's bathroom.
Yeah, and then the final thing. This is before the animation because I had to make the background and send it to Hasib so that he could reflect the like the background outside of the mirror, like into the mirror. If that makes sense. Wait. 3D में होना था and then ऊपर animation भी आनी थी. So in this the mirror is blank. So this is what our bathroom office turned into. This was like the concept, and then we animated over this. But yeah.
Does anyone have Rasti acting?
No, can we not? Can we not?
वैसे है मेरे
Let's
पास
just
में
go
एक
straight
मिनट
after video.
मैं वैसे
Let's see,
प्रोसेस
kidding.
दिखाना
Don't do it.
प्रोसेस दिखाना चाह रहा था फिल्म का
तो दिखाओ ना.
इसके बाद then we
Wait, huh?
I want you to talk about music for a bit and then NFT like we can wrap it up.
हाँ, but हसीब कुछ दिखाना चाह रहा है.
जी.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम.
वालेकुम सलाम.
एक मिनट मैं इसको चला लूं ये स्क्रीन शेयर करने के लिए.
नहीं.
ओके सो ये सनाबिल हसन और हारिस मंसूर ने एनिमेट किया था. इसका बैकग्राउंड का प्रोसेस सारा अलग है. वो भी इसी तरह शादी सीन की तरह एक लंबा चौड़ा अमन हसान सब उसके ऊपर काम कर रहे थे और बेसिकली मूड और एक्सप्रेशन कैप्चर करने में काफी टाइम लगा था. मेरा ख्याल इसका कोई 2.5-3 महीने इसको जो एनिमेट करने में.
लाइक उसकी जो क्या कहते हैं अब बेसिकली उसके इमोशंस के अंदर जो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट है वो दिखाना कि वो स्माइल कर रही है. वो एक बेसिकली एक फोर्स है जो एक सिटी के अंदर जिस तरह की इंडिविजुअल को बंद किया हुआ है.
God damn, looks great in black and white.
जैसे ग्रेविटी है उसको पुल कर रही है तो उसने वो जो अपने एक्सप्रेशंस दिखाने हैं लाइक शी वांट्स टू फ्राउन शी वांट्स टू शो एंगर. तो लाइक बेसिकली वो ग्रेविटी से अपने आप को उसमें जंप करना है. तो वो उसकी जो स्ट्रगल है वो दिखाना कि वो जो एक्सप्रेशंस चेंज हो रहे हैं. उसमें बड़ा हमें टाइम लगा था. फिर रास्ते की हमने जो है रेफरेंसेस काफी लिए थे. वो भी दिखाऊंगा.
Rasti, who is a terrific actor, gave us a full video reference for the performance that won so many people over in our screenings.
मैं दिखाता हूँ. ये बेसिकली इसका रास्ती नहीं चाहती कि भी वो दिखाया जाए. मतलब मुझे
It's okay. It's all right. We showed it at enough screening.
ओके अच्छा ये वैसे ये सीन था जिसको मतलब रस्सी ने इनेक्ट किया था
Yeah.
और वो मैं दिखाता हूँ अभी दिखाता हूँ
I
तो
thought he would listen to you.
Yeah, I thought we weren't showing this.
I know.
We're showing.
Oh,
Okay.
Sandra.
Okay.
ये बेसिकली इसके अंदर इमोशंस का काफी एक रोलर कोस्टर था जो यहाँ से कहीं से स्टार्ट हो रहा था और बेसिकली फ्राउन करना और स्माइल करने की कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन चेहरे के अंदर एक चेहरे के अंदर ये चीज दिखाना बड़ा मुश्किल है मतलब एनिमेट करना बहुत मुश्किल है अब इनेक्ट करना इसको बहुत ज्यादा ही मुश्किल है तो वो एक अच्छा रेफरेंस था जिसके ऊपर एक अच्छी एनिमेशन है
और हमने ये पूरा हंसमुख वाला आला बनाया था बैठ के ऑफिस के अंदर और वो मैंने
हाँ
पहना
ये
हुआ था
सबसे ज्यादा टाइम इस चीज से लगा
इस चीज पे लगा था हमने बैठ के अपने हाथों से बनाया था एंड देन वी डिस्ट्रॉयड इट बिकॉज़
रास्ते की आंखें लाल हो गई हैं इस चीज को करते करते आप
amazing.
वीडियो के शुरू में
आंसू आ गए थे
But it was a
वीडियो
really
के शुरू
powerful
में
performance.
थैंक यू
वीडियो के शुरू में बिल्कुल वाइट हैं और वीडियो के आखिर तक
हाँ फुल लाल
लाल हैं फिर ये रेज
That's
इसके
an
अंदर इतनी
angry
ज्यादा
one.
इसके अंदर इतने
I feel
ज्यादा
like I'm gonna kill
रिबेलियस
someone.
फैक्टर है ना इस
I feel like I'm gonna kill someone.
Yeah.
और
And
इसके
then
बाद
I'm like,
एक
oh,
बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट इसके बाद एक बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट शॉट था जो रास्ते ने हमें तो ये
cute. Oh man.
Yeah, we witnessed
Yeah.
this live. It was Rasi
हाथ टेप्ड
is a
क्यों था
terrific actor. उसकी film लगी हुई है आजकल.
Other one only. Sorry, what did you say, Smart?
रास्ती हाथ पर टेप क्यों था टेप रैप
I
हुआ
have
था
no
टेप
idea.
से
मैसेज एक्शन
I think it was back when my wrists were all kharab, so I was just yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you were trying not to use your thumb बहुत ज़्यादा.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember.
That damned iPhone. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
This was-
okay, let's talk about music for a bit because a lot of people asked about
Music.
SCT
Because it has
and
terrific
soundtrack.
music.
It does have terrific music.
Okay.
So talk about it.
Yeah, nothing. I think I would have liked to spend more time with it, but हुआ हो ये रहा था कि I'd make a motif and I'd play it to people. I'd play to image and in लोगों को सुनाता था. I'd give them a few options. I think I was genuinely not certain what was working. They would pick one up and they'd be like, "अच्छा बस हो गया. Now the next scene." So it ended up being a very quick process. But I really enjoyed it. I always wanted to score a film. And so it was quite a lot of fun for me, starting from the first motif, the riff that comes in at the start, to even the choice of the song at the end. It was something that Shorba Noor, Shahzad Noor, but excellent musician, one of the
And friend.
finest songwriters in Pakistan, and a very dear friend. He and I wrote together a while back, and there was this dilemma: is it too on the nose to just do a rock and roll song at the end? And by the end, we were like, you know what, fuck it, just do this because that's what feels right. So to connect that part usse pehle with the keyboard synthesizer part, all of that was a lot of fun. I think there were a few चीजें जो बिल्कुल end पे हुई थी, जो running sequences
Yeah.
वाले थे.
And by bilkul end, we mean like the day of the release.
Oh, the release of the
basically.
film,
The afternoon of the release, जो हमारा running sequence का गाना था. I remember like our father's upstairs in the studio. It's about 2 or 3 p.m. We have to upload at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
And our father's like making stuff, and he's like, "Does this sound good? Does this sound good?" And we had like 2 or 3 options. All of them sounded. You were really uncertain about the final track, but
Yeah.
Haseeb and I heard, and we were like, "This is it. This is it." And then and then
Because we used these detuned cellos, and they would go like junk, 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 and then it was like junk. So that part, it had to be guttural and and I didn't want to do pulsating like action music. I wanted to do something that was a lot more sinister. So that was fun. Yeah, it was, and people really did like the music.
People love the music.
Yeah.
People have been requesting for us to release them as like
And so
phone tunes.
Yeah, and we have a whole EP.
Not
album,
an EP.
a whole
It
album.
was supposed to be an EP, and then this man just kept churning out more and more music, and now we have a full-on 10-track album.
Yeah,
which we'll be releasing very soon this month. But it was also just really interesting. I mean, of course, you have a very like intense musical background. You've been in like 2 bands, and you've made music on your own. Like we still haven't heard his entire discography. But anyway, like it was still really interesting to see you. I mean, this is the first time that you were making like cyberpunk music, but you kind of just got the hang of it. Like even the riff that you made for the first the establishing shot. Like I remember you just spent like a day in the studio and you kind of just
I think
had it.
I even with the writing as well as with the music itself or the direction, मेरे ज़हन में cyberpunk एक बहुत अहम लफ्ज़ necessarily नहीं था. I think वो एक सतही चीज़ है जो end पे आती है, whether you play that riff on the piano or on a synthesizer. I think जो ज़्यादा अहम बात ये थी कि melodically, what does it, for me at least, obviously timbre and texture is very crucial. But I think it was fun because I mean there was so much texture to play with. So when you play music to image, when you have an image visual in front of you, I think it's easier to write. So plus I guess I'm just really good at it. I guess.
But so yeah, that's pretty much all the questions that I had at my end. We covered quite a bit. And it's also 7:13. So shall we wrap it up? Do you want to do some swipe talk? If you like, we want to do that, then maybe we should have like some folks leave or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, so we'll show what we're working on at the end. Hasib can keep a trailer loaded on YouTube on his end, high quality mein taiyar rakhe. But I wanted to thank, like, I think we didn't get the opportunity to. We toured so many places. We went to so many universities.
Yeah.
And मैं जिंदगी भर इतना earnest, इतना non-cynical, इतना pure प्यार नहीं देखा जितना मैंने इस तबस्सुम के tour पे देखा था. And especially some places in Karachi. I mean, all cities, but like Karachi University was very special for us. The kind of questions people asked, I think हमारी तरफ से we made a flawed film, as most things are. But I think जो मेहनत इसके अंदर इन लोगों ने की थी, all those people who worked on it, every single person, ranging from the creative direction of Isma to, you know, an intern planning it, मेहनत करके, people appreciated it so much that at no point did anyone feel like, यार हमने इतनी लंबी देर बना के बस 8 मिनट बनाए. No one felt that. You know, it's a long time to give your life अपना 1.5 साल दे देना 8 मिनट के लिए. And so many of these people, especially Isma and Hasib, just dedicated like a year and a half to just 8 minutes worth. And it was all worth it, I think, for me, by the film inherently itself as well. But the kind of support people have given, the amount of demand there is for a full feature film. Like people keep asking, we want to see more, we want to see more of the world. And so that love has been extremely, extremely nourishing, and it has helped us even with the film that we're working on right now, which is the same genre for me, Cyber Khilafat, but it is set in the present time, called Swipe. And we're releasing that by the end of the month as well. But I think even that film would not have been possible if we hadn't received the kind of positive energy we received both online and especially on the tour with people. And it gave us a lot more confidence in our voice. As well.
I remember having like multiple conversations with you in December of 2019 when you were like, listen, I feel like that we're losing time. Like there's a time to release this film and we're crossing it. And you were like, bas December mein hum release kar dete hain. And like me and Fatma were like, no, we need to build hype for it. And you were like, it's a 9-10 minute film, kitni hype banaoge? And because I think there was a moment in between where people were thinking it was going to be a feature, because people go like, yes, cinemas mein kab lag rahi hai, and we would just be like, it's a 10-minute film. And so I remember like fighting with you and going like, no, we need to build hype. And you were like, nahi, it's just, it's going to be such, like, people are going to be disappointed by the end, or it'll be like, you know, it was just, their expectations are just going to get all kharab. But we didn't listen to you, thank God. And then we spent 2 months just building the F out of the hype situation. I mean, we had like dystopian lughats, and we came up with a graphic journal, and we built a lot of hype for it. And so, but in spite of that, like when we'd released it, like you said, it's been
I think
phenomenal.
It became hype se zyada main ye bhi bolunga, it became a storytelling device beyond the film as well. So chahe wo Facebook, Instagram ke chote video clips ho, chahe the graphic novel, chahe
it was just
lughat ho,
different little facets of the story that we were.
And I think that allows us now, we're in a much better position, and we'll have some news on that front as well, to work on something bigger in that same world. But I would say I think I'm very glad that we released it when we did, that we took our time, and the kind of response that we received was incredible.
And we did a
And we're
tour
very
and
excited to share our second short film with you as well.
Yeah.
So what we can do is we can leave you with the teaser of the film that we released a little while back. So that's it, I think, from our front. We'll come back after the teaser and say goodbye.
Yeah, and just say and thank Arsalan. There won't be any sound, of course.
साउंड नहीं होगी मेरा ख्याल है.
Oh, so
But,
you know what? It's let's not do it if there's no sound.
I have a feeling there
Okay.
will
Play karo. Let's see if there's sound.
No, play it. Yeah. Yeah, no.
आ रही है
Oh,
आपको
there's
आवाज?
No.
Nahin.
Nahin
So
aa rahi.
what you guys can do is you can go to Swipe Film
Yeah.
on Instagram and watch the teaser of the film. It's no fun watching it without audio,
Yeah.
but it has an interesting premise. It's about an app where you swipe right for Wajibul Qatl and swipe left for Mafi, and it's set in Multan. So I hope that you guys are able to. A lot of hard work is currently being put into it
Now we have
as
two
we
people
speak.
who are like right now as we speak. They're
Working on it,
meeting and
the new team as the
So,
old leave, and it's also very emotional to see Isma on screen right now because we did the whole tour without someone who was fundamental to the film,
Yeah.
and then she left the studio.
Left us.
She left the studio, and it really left a gap that's just impossible to fill,
Yeah.
and we feel it every day, one way or another, creatively speaking. But
She used to sit right there.
she used to sit right there,
Right there
yes, right behind
behind
us,
our
yeah,
bar.
yes. And so yeah, but we continue to miss her, and now Shumail also had
But
ha-
it's so nice to be able to do. I feel like we're sitting in like our lounge, just having like a
yeah,
gupshup
yeah,
situation.
chai
This is-
situation.
So that's where I want to thank Arsalan and Desi Collective for hosting us, for reaching out to us. We've been so focused on Swipe, our next film, and then on our plans for Tabassum. The last time that we revisited our like Tabassum, like the short film, and then our old files and all of that was like months and months ago before COVID.
Yeah,
But it was a lot of fun, and Isma could join us this time around as well, and Shumaya could join us as well. So it was a lot of fun. So thank you for having us. And yeah, this
Yeah.
was great. Thank you to everybody who sent in questions. I mean, anybody who watched.
Yeah.
And stay tuned to our page for news on the sequel situation and
Yeah.
also our music
for the
content.
long form Shehr E Tabassum as well as
Yeah.
the Swipe short
Yeah.
film coming up very soon as well.
So that's it from us. And does any one of you want to say anything or do anything or anything?
Sing.
No? Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Left day.